Well, hello friends. I am back this week to make the recipe, the cheesecake swirl brownies. We put all the page numbers in from the Essential Cookie Companion book on our spin the wheel, and it came up with these cheesecake swirl brownies. In these cheesecake swirl brownies, it says we need one essential brownie recipe and one cream cheese swirl recipe. The essential brownie recipe, there are three to choose from, like a fudgy, a cakey, and a fudgy slash cakey. I think I'm gonna do a fudgy because those are my husband's favorite. And I also think I'm gonna break it up into two pans because I want to do one classic and the other one put the cream cheese swirl, because this makes 2 dozen brownies, and I cannot see my husband and I eating a whole 2 dozen cheesecake swirl brownies. So I figured I would give the cheesecake swirl to our children, and the fudgy ones we can eat here at home. We could probably even freeze them. I will look online to see if King Arthur has these recipes on their website and link them below. If they do not, I will link below the cookbook itself. I did a little bit of research, and they state if the recipe is not free online, you shouldn't share it out of the cookbook. If the cookbook is still available for sale, and this King Arthur cookbook is available for sale, along with some of their other cookbooks as well, like this big book of bread, if we ever get into that. But there are so many variations of different brownies out there. I'm certain a quick Google search will find you a cheesecake swirl brownie as well. But I am a King Arthur fan, and I love all of their products. I love their cookbooks and everything about them. I just really enjoy. So I am hoping to continue to meet back with you guys every week, or every maybe a couple times a week, and choosing different recipes out of this. Sorry, that was my dishwasher. Out of this cookie companion book. At random. I'm really hoping we get some really cool ones like stroop waffles, and things like that, because then it makes me have to go buy some new kitchen equipment as well. So at any rate, we are going to make these cheesecake swirl brownies today. I know it's not a cookie, so I'm not sure why it's in the cookie companion book, but following true to form to what we said we were going to do, and we spun that wheel, we're going to make whatever page it lands on, presuming there is a recipe on that page. That is what we are going to do. So thank you for joining me again. I'm going to say this week because I did this last Friday. Today is Friday, December 12th. I have the whole house to myself. My husband is working an afternoon shift, so I feel like I can speak very freely and not feel uncomfortable. I don't know why, but when people are in the house and I'm trying to record, I just feel awkward. I don't know. I'm not sure why. But I don't know that I've mentioned this before in any of the other few videos that I have out there, but we are recent empty nesters. Our youngest just moved out a couple of months ago. We have 4 daughters, and all 4 have now flown the nest, and it's just my husband and I and our cat and our dog um, that live here in the house. And it's delightful, it's quiet, it's peaceful, and I do enjoy the quiet thoroughly. So at any rate, well, I'm going to gather my ingredients, and okay, I'm gonna start with the cheesecake swirl first, so that way when the brownie batter is ready, I can have the cheesecake swirl ready just to swirl in and pop it in the oven. So I'm gonna start there, and like I said earlier, I'm going to cut this recipe in half so I can do a pan of plain fudgy brownies and a pan of the cheesecake swirl. So I am following true to form in making this recipe, but ad-libbing a little bit, knowing what we will eat around here. I will tell you all the ingredients and give you some tips and tricks of things along the way here of what I did to cut it in half and how to measure things. But I'm not gonna give you the exact measurements, because I don't want to upset anybody and have anybody lose out on making any potential money if somebody wants to buy one of these amazing cookbooks. Or you can check the cookbook out at your local library. I have a friend who just recently did that, and her kids went home and started making some treats and goodies out of the King Arthur cookbook that they checked out at the library. So we have the softened cream cheese in here, and of course, even though I knew I was doing this evening, I didn't have it pulled out. So I have a soften button on my microwave that softens ice cream, butter, or cream cheese. So I softened my cream cheese in there. And then to cut this recipe in half, it was, I'm going to tell you this, one measurement was 3/4 of a cup. Well, I'm not real good at math, so I don't know how to cut 3/4 of a cup in half easily. So it also told me it was 149 grams. So that was perfect. So I just measured out. I put 149, I cut that in half and kind of rounded to 75 grams. And that's how I measured out the sugar that I needed for this recipe. Although I do just realize I jumped the gun here just a little bit because it tells me to cream this until no lumps remain. So I apologize for the noise, but I am going to go ahead and turn this on now and get this creamed to where no lumps remain. Sorry, I don't have my glass bowl on here. I got my standard metal bowl. My glass bowl is really big. I didn't feel the necessity to pull that out and use it. Because it was so soft, it creamed up really nicely and quickly. Go ahead and scrape down the sides. Try not to touch the paddle with my fingers, which I often do. Put this off to the side. All right. Now it says that we need to add the sugar, the vanilla, the almond extract, and blend until smooth. So here is the sugar. Here is our vanilla. I thought it was interesting that there was almond extract in this. It really surprised me. It's just a little bit, but I think it's going to give a nice little hint of flavor. I do make my own vanilla extract. I buy the cheapest vodka you can find, and I get beans from the Vanilla Bean Kings. I had a friend turn me on to them, and I really like the quality of their beans and the extract that you get from their beans. And you can find it on sale every so often, and you can get a good sale, and it won't cost you an arm and a leg to make your own vanilla. But what I do with my vanilla is I have a few big containers back through the door over here in my other pantry. And as I pour it out and pour it in here, I add more vodka to that vanilla. And I use those beans for a good 3 years. And you can start to tell it gets super light in color. And when it gets real light in color, it's time to start over. So about 3 years is what I get out of my vanilla beans, which is, it's pretty nice if you think about it. And if you bake a lot, you're going to go through it quicker. And making homemade, you just can't beat the flavor you get from a homemade vanilla extract. And my daughter, one of them, I have 4, like I said, who was in the Navy, and she's on the East Coast right now. She was mentioning the other day that she wanted to make her own lemon and almond extract. And it had never crossed my mind. So I had to Google, how do you make almond extract? And there's a few different ways. Of course, you can use plain almonds, or you can use the seeds of like a pit fruit, like an apricot or a nectarine or a peach. And I thought that was really weird, but I'm definitely going to look into that when my almond extract gets kind of lower. Right now I have plenty in there. Oh, the almond, by the way, that I like to use, I get the bakery emulsion. I don't know. I just prefer it because it's thicker and it's easier it doesn't pour so quickly and make a mess all in what you're doing. And you don't, because almond is very strong. And if you you put too much vanilla in, it's okay. You put too much almond in, you're going to know, unless you really like the flavor of almond. Okay, so we got that those ingredients in, and we're going to go ahead and blend this again until it's smooth. We're going to scrape down our sides again. I love my KitchenAid to pieces. One of the things I don't like about the KitchenAid is scraping down the sides, because it drives me crazy that this paddle is in the way. I just recently got a Bosch mixer to do my breads because this is my grandmother's mixer. Sorry if I repeat myself, and you guys have heard this story on more than one occasion. I do apologize, but getting older and I do forget. Besides, you never know who new is going to come on and not see a past recipe. So, in this instance, I'm gonna repeat myself. This is my grandmother's mixer. I got it after she passed away a few years ago. It's not super old. You could tell by the color. It's a beautiful lilac color, so it is a newer mixer. But what I was saying is KitchenAid put out some new information recently that when you're using the KitchenAid to knead bread, you're not supposed to go higher than a 2. If you're not familiar with a KitchenAid, there's a few options from stir, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, 10 being your highest speed. Well, KitchenAid says you're not supposed to go longer than a 2 for 2 minutes at a time. And all of the recipes I have using my KitchenAid says you're supposed to go for 4 for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the type of bread you're making. And I just can't see, or else you could burn up your gears and your motor and your mixer. And I just can't see the breads that I make mixing and getting kneaded well enough at that low speed. So I bit the bullet and bought a Bosch, which has a much bigger capacity bowl, although it is a learning curve. The first 2 loaves of sandwich bread I made didn't turn out the best. So, but that's not what this rest of this video is about. It's about cheesecakes, roll brownies. So, anywho, so I'm not sure exactly how we got there, but we did. So we're gonna mix this one more time to make sure we got it good and mixed. And then it calls for, I'm gonna give you this other measurement. It calls for 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Well, I don't know any measuring cups that really go down to 1/8 of a cup. Well, they might, but I know the liquid ones that I have don't. So I have these little dudes, which I love, and these do happen to go to 1/8 of a cup. However, even down to a 16th. However, if you know this one thing, it'll help you if you need to cut down from a 1/4 cup and down. 4 tablespoons in a 1/4 cup. So if I need to cut a 1/4 cup in half to 1/8, I need 2 tablespoons of this heavy cream or sour cream. I chose heavy cream because it's easier to measure out. So I put 2 tablespoons of heavy cream in here, and we're going to add that heavy cream. See if we can kind of scrape it out a little bit. Heavy cream does kind of, well, it's heavy. All right, put that here in the sink. And then we need 1 large egg, which we do have our own chickens. So this is one of our chicken eggs. So I just broke it in a bowl. Generally from the store, I don't worry about that because they are pasteurized and stuff like that. But really, you could get a bad egg at any time. So sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and put our egg in here. And we are going to mix until it's well combined. And then we're going to set it aside. And we will start on our brownie mixture. So all in all, I think it's just a classic cheesecake recipe. Like if you were to make this and put it in a pie crust and bake it, it would be a cheesecake with the addition of the almond extract, which honestly, I don't make very many cheesecakes. So maybe that's the standard in most cheesecakes and I don't know. My aunt asked me to make it because it was my grandma's recipe. And this recipe had 6 blocks of cream cheese in it. And it's a no-bake lemon jello cheesecake recipe. And I told her never again. I'm not doing it. Same grandma that the mixer came from. The original recipe for this cheesecake had 12 blocks of cream cheese. That's out of control. My grandma lived in she was born in 1930, so that's the beginning of the Depression era. I'm not sure on my time frame, but they didn't have a lot, and so as she grew up, she learned how to live on not a lot, and so then as money and things became plentiful, she hoarded and got more and extra and bigger, and so to her, if you're going to make one cheesecake, you might as well make 15 cheesecakes, and that's the way she thought. All right, this looks nice and creamed together. Of course, I threw my rubber scraper in my sink. My sink is empty, but there is in the bottom of the sink a grate that sits in the bottom. So luckily, it doesn't go to the bottom. So I have no problem picking this up and using it in my cheesecake. Besides, the only people eating this cheesecake mixture here will be my family. And I haven't poisoned them quite yet, so I must be doing something right. See? You see? I got cheesecake on my finger. It's maddening. It's maddening. And now on my thumb. That's my only gripe. Well, I guess I have 2. Scraping off this paddle kind of annoys me too. Ina Garten, I don't know if you guys know who she is. She's a wonderful chef on the Food Network. She says she takes her fingers and scrapes off her paddle. I don't know. I struggle with doing that. I guess I have no problem getting a rubber scraper out of the bottom of the sink, but I don't want to use my fingers to scrape off the paddle. She says clean hands are a chef's best tool. which I tend to agree with if I could just do it, but I struggle with doing that. All right, one final mix just to make sure. And I think that we are done. So we are going to take a quick little break so I can put this aside, clean up this little mess, and start on our brownie recipe. Okay, so very interesting that it says that we needed to melt this butter either in a microwave safe bowl or on the stovetop. I chose to use the microwave because that way I'm not having my back towards you at the stove. So we have to melt the butter, and then it says we need to add the sugar, which is quite a bit of sugar, and it says to stir to combine. It's so much sugar that it's turned into like a wet sand mixture here. And we need to return this to the heat or to the microwave briefly, just until it's between 110 and 120 degrees, but not bubbling. Instead, it'll be shiny when I stir it. It says what this heating it does a second time does is dissolve more of the sugar and will give you a shiny top crust on your brownies. So I think that's pretty interesting. So let's get this back in the microwave. And I am going to choose 30 seconds and see how it goes. If we need to do more, we will. I was snacking on these semi-sweet chocolate chips. This brand, I don't know how you say it, Guittard, Guittard. So I bought this brand. They are $10 a bag. But my local grocery store had them buy one bag, get one free. So you're paying $5 a bag. Still ridiculous. However, the big brand that's out there right now, you know it all. Everybody knows the brand. If you watch Friends, it's called Nestlé Doulous. They have a bioengineered product in there. And the bioengineered product is soy lecithin or soy lecithin or however you say that. Which I don't know. We're just trying to stay away from that kind of stuff if we can help it. I mean, I'll eat it, obviously. I mean, I didn't get this size because I don't eat bad food, but we're just trying. We're just trying to stay away. So this brand in particular is free from bioengineered products. It's non-GMO. It's dairy-free, which I'm not a dairy person, but I mean, I don't mind dairy. And it's also free from allergens and sensitizers, which I'm certain that's important to quite a few people in the world. But anywho, the point behind all that is they are delicious. Like, they are the chocolate that I remember as a chocolate chip as a kid. That's what it tastes like. They just taste like good old chocolate chips. The stuff you get now does that. I'm looking at my pantry. I have them in there. I have the store brand. It just doesn't taste the same. And you know what I recently did? I bought myself, well, my family and friends as well, chocolate chip molds. So I can make my own chocolate chips out of cocoa powder and coconut oil. And you can use honey as a sweetener if you don't want to use sugar. And then you can have your own healthy, non-bioengineered chocolate chips, presuming the cocoa that you get is fair trade and non-bio. Like, you have to dig so deep to discover all these things about the food that you're eating. But I do want to try this. I had thoughts of trying it today with these brownies because these do call for pecans and for chocolate chips, like I was just talking about, but I just didn't prepare in advance. So one of these days we will make these together. You can't see over here because I have a very long island. It's like, I don't even know, 11 foot long probably or more. So a lot of the island isn't showing, but I have a pile of baking things over here that I haven't quite put away from the store because I'm going to do quite a bit of baking this over the next, 12, 13 days for Christmas. I do gift baskets every year do 4 of them. One for 3 different people in my family and one as a white elephant gift that we do at my sister's. With my side of the family. So I haven't even started and I don't know what I'm going to make yet, but maybe you'll come along with me when I do all of those recipes as well. So anyway, let's get our sugar and butter mixture out of the microwave. I will also grab my Insta-Read thermometer, which I love. My husband got for me. My husband's really good at getting me all kinds of different gadgets. So it says it needs to be between 110 and 120, and we are 120. Getting a little higher, 126, 124. All right. Let's give it another good stir. It says to stir in the cocoa, the salt, the baking powder, and the vanilla. You know, I'm going to take away this whisk and switch to a spoon because it doesn't say it in here, but I know if you whisk a brownie too much, it will turn it cakey, and we do not like cakey brownies in this family. So if I want to get that out of the box texture, I definitely don't want to keep with the whisk. So I am going to grab a bamboo spoon, which I love. They're from Pampered Chef. And I'm going to grab this silicone spoon. And we're going to switch to this. So we're going to stir in the cocoa. Do you think I should sift? I'm going to sift it. Dang it. I was not going to sift it, but cocoa tends to get lumps. And I don't want anybody to bite into a lump of cocoa powder. I have a quick little sifter here. I'll just dump it in. It won't take that long. Sometimes I try to take the lazy route. Well, because sometimes I'm a little lazy. Ooh, close that door. Excuse me. Sorry. And the clumps, if you could see, can you see any of these clumps? That would have been unfortunate. So we are going to use the back of our spoon and break those right up. We all sometimes tend to be a little lazy and try to skip steps. You know, it's not always smart to do that. It also says to add my salt and baking powder, which I'm going to go ahead and put through the sieve too, might as well. I just switched to an aluminum-free baking powder, and I don't really know how aluminum is bad for you. It doesn't sound like you should probably eat it, but you're going to think I'm crazy, but I can taste it. When I make a biscuit that's not made with self-rising flour and buttermilk, if I use flour and baking powder, baking soda, I literally taste the aluminum. And I don't know how or why, but I do. So I thought, you know, I'm going to switch to the aluminum-free one, which I got in bulk at the bulk spice supply store that we go to in Shipshewana, Indiana, called ENS. It's about an hour and 20 minutes away from us, but we go a few times a year, and I get to stock up on everything from cinnamon, which I get from King Arthur, so I don't even get cinnamon there, but garlic powder to pickling spices to caraway seeds, you name it, it's there. Okay, so we're going to put in, we did the salt, the baking powder, and we're going to go ahead and add our vanilla, but I'm not going to put this in the sink because I have some flour I need to add. We might as well, we sifted our cocoa, might as well sift our flour. So we need to put in our vanilla, quite a bit of vanilla. I got a pile of things going over here. Oh, you know what's interesting is it says stir in the cocoa, salt, baking powder, and vanilla. And then it says whisk in the eggs. That's interesting. Remember what I said about whisking and brownies a moment ago? You know what I think I'm going to do? I will beat them in a separate bowl. And then, oh, I'm afraid to whisk them. Well, the flour isn't in yet. So that's probably why it says it's okay to whisk them. Because that's when it gets start to turn into cake when you do that. So all right, back to our farm fresh eggs. Like I told you before, we're gonna go ahead and break them one at a time here. And look at me, I saved my fork. I don't know if I've mentioned I do work full time. I always have since I graduated high school, and even before I worked as much as I could. I'm a strong, independent woman, but I also need my man. So I don't want to use that line, but I am very strong and independent, and I've always worked. So maybe someday I won't, but I don't know. Any old who, I work for an oil pipeline company, and I love my job. I love what I do. I love the people I work with, and I can't see me stopping work anytime soon. The third time, I didn't automatically reach for my garbage. I reached for the chicken bowl. I know you can't see it, but we have a bowl we keep on our counter that any type of food that we don't eat that the chickens can eat, we toss in there, and we give them back their shells because it makes their shells for their new eggs stronger. Oh, it did say to whisk it, remember? Should I brave it and listen to them? We should follow the recipe, huh? Well, I could tell you it smells delicious. I don't know the difference between all the cocos, but this cocoa did call for a Dutch processed cocoa, which I do happen to have. So that is what I used, is a Dutch processed cocoa, which we got from our bulk spice store that I just told you about. I have black cocoa in there, and black cocoa is the cocoa that you use if you want to make Oreo flavored things, or if you want to make black frosting. I made a black frosted wedding cake. It was absolutely beautiful. It is truly black. Like, it looks very black, but it tastes like an Oreo cookie. And I'm really excited because in this book, there's a recipe for faux Rios, and I hope one day we land on that. And I'm gonna make me some faux Rios. That's very exciting. I even got a cookie cutter that looks like an Oreo. We'll see how that works out. I got that hoping I would land on that soon. Okay, we whisked in the eggs, stirred until smooth, and then we're going to add our flour, which remember I told you we'll go ahead and put it through this little sifter, strainer, whatever you want to call this here. Might as well. It's out. Good old King Arthur flour. They do have an organic one, but I just use the standard King Arthur flour. Add the flour and the nuts and the chips, stirring again until smooth. So I put the pecans, which I kept large. I don't normally put nuts in desserts. I thought my husband didn't like nuts in desserts. And so I asked him today when I was roaming the grocery store. I said, I really like nuts in desserts, and I don't put them in there because I didn't think you liked them. And he's like, not a big fan of walnuts, but I don't mind any of the other nuts in my dessert. So this recipe says we can use pecans or chopped walnuts. I got pecans in here. One, because he doesn't like the walnuts, he said. But two, my store didn't have any walnuts at all today. So I got pecans, and I got a cup of these delicious chocolate chips. I'm so excited. I've actually never made a brownie with pecans and chocolate chips in it before. I've done it with peanut butter chips, maybe chocolate chips. That may be a lie, but not that I recall, especially not in recent years. So there it all goes. We now have all the components of all the ingredients, for these brownies. And all we have to do now is stir it together. And I can tell you, it smells, I'm going to use Renee's word from Little Village Homestead. It smells divine. I bet these are going to be so good. And I am just super excited that I decided to make the two different styles at the end, because that way I have both options to taste. Pecans and brownies sounds pretty delightful. All right, let's just make sure. Oh, I see some flour on the bottom. Gotta get stirred in. I think we did it. You guys, it smells so good. Okay, my little egg holder. Get it out of my way. We will get that measuring cup in the sink. Put our vanilla away. I don't work real well in a huge mess, so I do try to clean up as I go, or else I get overwhelmed. So, those chips. Okay. So prior to starting up, when I was gathering my ingredients, prior to beginning again, what I did was I'm cheating, and I got some foil pans that I had in my pantry. One, so I could throw them away. The less dishes I have to do, the better. And two, I sprayed them real well with the flour baking spray. No, it's not the best for you, but it works really well. I don't use it all the time, but I sprayed them with the flour baking spray, and this way I can cut the sides of the pan, pull the brownie out, and cut it into squares for serving. So I thought that was a phenomenal idea on my part. Okay. This says spoon the batter in the prepared pan and bake for 29 to 32 minutes, and the cake tester into the center comes out clean. This says spread 3/4 of the brownie batter in a lightly greased 9x13 pan. Again, we're using 2 9x9s. And then smooth the cheesecake batter and then dot the brownie batter on top. So what I think I'm going to do, this is a little bigger than so this is 9x9. Well, is it? There's a little bit more square inches involved here. But that's okay. It'll just be a little bit thinner of a brownie. But what I was going to say is I'm going to grab one of my scoops. And this scoop is perfectly fine, but I have a really pretty Pioneer Woman one that I don't get to use very often. So I'm going to grab this one. I love redrumming Pioneer Woman. I love all of her things. I know a lot of them are plastic, but I don't care. They're so pretty and color makes me happy. Anywho, I'm going to scoop out even amounts in each pan to make sure we don't run into a problem where we have too much left in one and not in the other. So I'm going to do 5 scoops, I think, in each pan and start there. See what we get. You guys, the batter looks amazing. If this works, I'm telling you what, I am going to be so stoked. If my husband says he likes this recipe, it will make my day. I love to make things that my husband enjoys eating. He's a bit picky. He will never admit it, but he is a bit picky. And he's a little hard to please sometimes with his taste buds. And he likes things a certain way. So if he likes these, I am going to be so excited. What do we got left? You know what I think we got left is just enough to dot on top of our pan. Ooh, I almost got that all over my book. I got a little on my book. After we get the cheesecake on top. So, out of curiosity, let's see how much these weigh. See how accurate I am. Granted, it includes the pan, but both the pans are the same weight. So, this is 546 grams, 596 grams. So you know what I'm going to do is this one, we're not going to put the cheesecake on, and this one we are. So let me grab my cheesecake. Wipe my hands so I don't get my book icky. And what does it say about this now? Spoon the cheesecake batter over the brownie batter, smoothing it out. Guess we'll use these. So here's the cheesecake batter that I made earlier with you all. I did cheat and taste it. It is really good. I don't remember if I did that while I was recording or not. I'm thinking this one's going to take a little bit longer to bake because of the cheesecake. That one's probably going to be done a little sooner. So I'll probably have to set a timer sooner than what it says, especially because it's a little thinner than what it would be in a 9x13 pan. So we're going to spread this over the top. I don't know that I've ever made cheesecake brownies before, so this is also a first for me. And I love trying new things. I wasn't super excited when we landed on cheesecake brownies. I may have mentioned that already because I was like, man, that's not a cookie. But you know what? The more I've been playing or making it, the more I'm enjoying that it's a cheesecake brownie. I will enjoy this off camera so you don't see me eating that. All right, now we're going to dollop. You know what I'm going to do? Let me get my smaller scoop. Should I get my smaller scoop? I think I should get my smaller scoop. Yeah, we'll get my smaller scoop. And we will put this all over the top. And then we will take this and we'll put the balance of what's in this bowl in our other pan. Because why not? We made it. We paid for the ingredients. I watched, I don't remember the name of this gentleman's channel, but he does, I think it's Come Sit at My Table. And he says, what he said today was, you paid for it, you might as well use it all. And you know what? He's not wrong. He's a very nice man. I enjoy watching him as well. Okay. All right. this last little bit. Then it says we're supposed to take a dull knife and run it through. It says draw a dull knife through the top third of the two batters, gently swirling to make a nice design. I presume a dull knife is a butter knife, so I don't know that I've ever done this either. How fun. We get to do new things together. I'm going to go that way, and I'm going to come this way too, because I probably should have spread that out a little bit better. This is a lot of cheesecake on here, believe it or not. All right, so here's our cheesecake swirl. And here's our ruggler. Okay. This says to bake for 29 to 32 minutes until cake tester inserted into the center comes out clean, or with just a tiny amount of crumb clinging to it. The edges of the brownie should be set, but the center will still be soft. Okay, so let's get these in the oven. The oven's at 325. I'm gonna put them towards the center, in the center of my oven, towards the center of on the rack. And I'm actually gonna set a timer for 20 minutes, just to be sure we don't burn them. Who wants a burnt brownie? All right, I am going to take the opportunity to clean up this mess. I have a freshly emptied dishwasher, so I don't have to hand wash a lot of these. You don't have to watch me taste the batter and the cheesecake batter, because you know there is raw egg and raw flour in there, but you know I like to live life on the edge. So no, I don't. I'm kind of a boring person. But I am going to enjoy tasting that while I clean up this mess, and I will bring you back here with me to pull these out and look, see if they're done, and then we'll let them cool. And in about an hour or so it's about almost 6 o'clock Central Time now. So about 7 o'clock Central Time, 7:30 Central Time, we will take them out of the pan and cut them up and taste both of them. I'm literally so excited to taste them both. So yeah, we'll be back to taste them. So thank you so much. We'll see you in a few. Our brownies are done and cooled, and we are going to cut into them and taste them. Here is the plain one with no cheesecake topping. The top is shiny, just like what you see out of a box mix. I am so excited to taste this. This also looks delicious. This is our cheesecake brownie. I know I had mentioned I wanted to take these out of the pan and cut them, but I don't know that I want to destroy the pan to do that. So I think what I would like to do for now is just cut a taste and taste it, so that way you guys can see my true reaction if they're good or not. And we'll deal with the rest of it at tomorrow or later, because I'm starting to get a little tired. It is almost 8 o'clock Central Time at my house, and I just put my dinner in the oven. So I'm ready to kind of be done for the evening. So let me, and someone's texting me. So let me give these a taste. I'm just gonna take this little corner piece here, a little bite. It smells delicious. I hope there's a pecan in this bite, and it looks so fudgy. I'm so excited. There's melted chocolate chips in here still because it's cool, but it's definitely like a little bit warmer than room temperature, but it's cool. There's a pecan. You guys. Oh my gosh. I think I succeeded. This is the perfect brownie. If you want to make a brownie from scratch, that gives you that chewy, fudgy texture, this is the recipe. I hope it's on their website so I could share it with you completely. Phenomenal. So good. So good. All right. Here's our cheesecake one. So it has chocolate chips, pecans, and a cheesecake topping. I mean, how can it be bad, right? Oh, it smells so good. Same thing, that the chocolate chip has a little melty to it because it's just barely above room temperature. Excuse me. Wow. It was 1/8 of a teaspoon of almond. And it comes through. That is good. Holy crap. This is my go-to brownie recipe. I will notate it in my book. This will be the recipe I go to when I make my husband's brownies for his birthday. He will not be disappointed in this. I have tried and failed so many times. He will love this with my peanut butter frosting that I make. Definitely. Definitely. Holy cow. Both of these are absolutely divine. That cheesecake topping, so good. You get the almond, a yummy pecan, that chocolate chip. Highly recommend making both of these recipes. Highly recommend you get this cookbook. I don't make any money off of that. I am not affiliated with King Arthur whatsoever. I just love their cookbooks and I love their products. You will not be disappointed if you try these. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. I really had a good time experimenting with recipes I've never done before and having a great success with these fudgy, chewy, delicious brownies. And I hope you join me again. Before we get off of here, though, let's go ahead and grab my phone and we are going to spin the wheel to see which recipe we get to make next. Okay, where is the random number selector? I'm going to do a min and a max number. So I start on the page where the cookies start, which is page number 4. And the max number of pages where recipes are is page number 445. Towards the end, these are just dips and stuff like that. Maybe we shouldn't include the finishing touch because that's not a real recipe, now that I think about that. Random generator. 360. Let's see what's on 360. Oh my. Oh, this is... I've never heard of these before. I don't even know how to say it. Churruscki. Churruscki. It has egg yolk, rum, vanilla, salt, confectioner sugar, sour cream, flour, a solid shortening for frying. No, we gotta fry this cookie. I'm a terrible fryer. It says a truszki, a crisp, deep-fried cookie, is a Polish specialty served on special occasions, particularly Christmas and Easter. Though fairly time-consuming to make and, alas, very quickly consumed, of course, if you have fond memories of these cookies and find yourself craving them when holidays roll around, this is a good recipe to try. By the way, these are nearly identical to Norway's Fudgy, also served at the holidays. Note that the small bit of alcohol called for is traditional. You can substitute apple juice or water if you like. Oh my goodness, this is a roll-out dough recipe. I would have never chose this recipe to make. That's why I'm really digging this idea of this generator. I wouldn't have never chose these brownies to make. I've made brownies, meh, I don't want to make them again. And I'm so happy I made them because they were quite the success. Now we're going to make this really cool cookie, which I don't even know how to pronounce. So the next time we do a cookie, it's going to be the Truszki on page 360 of our essential cookie companion from King Arthur. How exciting is that? I'm going to take one of my, not that one, I'm going to take one of my tabs that I have on the Folios, because we didn't get that one, and I'm going to put it here. I'm also going to get a notebook, a piece of paper to put in here on the very front, so that way I can write down the recipes we've already done, because I don't want to repeat them. So, well, thank you all for joining me again in my kitchen today. It was super fun, super exciting, and that wraps up this week's episode of Baking Cookies with Cammie. Bye-bye.